The British Constitution is full of almost meaningless, strange titles. My final guest this morning is the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster. No, me neither. Michael Gove's real job is to coordinate and oversee the government's planning for a no-deal exit from the EU, and according to the BBC's Norman Smith, one of only 2 cabinet ministers the Prime Minister consulted before making the decision to prorogue Parliament. You have removed a crucial number of sitting days from Parliament ahead of the BrExit decision, the BrExit moment of truth, and you've done it because you know you might be frustrated in Parliament because you haven't got the numbers in Parliament. You know, the public know that. Everybody knows it. Why can't you just accept it? I mean, it's not dishonourable. You are trying to get the best deal you can. Why not accept it?
Well, we are trying to get the best deal that we can. You're absolutely right about that, Andrew, and I hope that people will appreciate that and give the Prime Minister the time and space to secure. We have a new Prime Minister. He wants to ensure that we can bring forward legislation in order to meet the people's priorities, in order to invest in the NHS, in order to cut violent crime, in order to deal with the cost of living. That is important. Now, you also raised the question...
Most of what he wants to do doesn't need legislation. It's just it's spending money. And, you know, what you have done is you have removed a crucial number of sitting days from the House of Commons at an absolutely critical moment in the country's history. Let me show you what you have done, which is, there is the parliamentary timetable, if you can see it over there. As a result of the prorogation announcement, there are 16 sitting days left before we leave the EU, of which at least 5 must be taken up with the Queen's speech. If that hadn't happened, there'd be around, previous years, there'd be around 21 sitting days. So that's 5 or 6 sitting days just gone like that. But if Parliament, as it might well have done, had voted to carry on sitting through the party conference season, it would have been far more than that, possibly 34 to 43 sitting days. A huge number of parliamentary days have suddenly been swept out of the agenda at the crucial moment, just before we leave the EU. That is not a coincidence. You said in June that proroguing would be absolutely wrong. Let's remind ourselves.
We are a parliamentary democracy, and suspending, or as the constitutional experts call it, proroguing Parliament in order to try to get no deal through, I think would be wrong. I think it would be wrong for many reasons. I think it would not be true to the best traditions of British democracy.
Just before this, I thought when you said proroguing Parliament in order to try to get no deal through, I think would be wrong, you meant proroguing Parliament in order to get a no deal through would be wrong. I thought you meant what you said.
You have to have a process in advance of a Queen's speech. Keir Starmer himself last week said if you have a new Queen's speech, it is perfectly legitimate to go through this process that we're going through now. We'll sit before the European Council and will sit afterwards. Parliament will be sitting right up until October the 31st. We're not doing anything to try to facilitate a no-deal Brexit.
Now, no deal will happen unless you have a deal. At the moment, Michel Barnier and others from the EU side have said again and again and again, we have not seen, Michael Coveney was saying the same thing, we have not seen a flicker or any evidence whatever from the British government that they have a workable, viable, fresh alternative to the backstop.